let's try this again. I don't know how well this is going to work. Facebook is like, we ended your live video because something happened. I must have said something Facebook didn't like. Stupid Facebook. Oh well. I'm still on the road. Why did it have to rain? Like, really? Why did it have to rain? Rain doesn't need to happen. I don't need rain. Nobody, well, okay, no, I take that back. I don't need the rain. Other people need the rain. Actually, it's funny. I was talking to a lady out here. She was like, we just need the rain. And I said, I don't need it. You can have it. And she says, we'll take all of your rain. I said, good. Which is actually right about where the area I'm at. So, hey, you're getting rain and I'm not. And that's okay. Because that's what we wanted. I swear, if you try passing me on the right, I am going to beat your ever-loving. The number of people who have tried to pass me on the right-hand side in the right lane is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Why? Because you can't wait 5 or 10 more seconds for a horse trailer to move over to the right lane so you don't need to pass it is ridiculous. Just come on, people. Give us a little bit of grace here. Like, we are not perfect. But seriously? So I had a weird thought this morning, and some of you guys might remember my old horse Ivan. He was in a lot of the very, very, very early videos when I started doing the bailout. The random ones out in the pasture, and he was a very dark brown, almost black, my Frisian sport horse. And I had the thought, oh, Wendy, thank you. Thank you for the stars. Thank you, thank you. I had the thought this morning to message the lady that I sold him to. And I'd been meaning to do it for weeks now. And I don't know why all of a sudden this morning was the day that I did it. But I did. And I messaged her and I said, hey, I'm just checking in. I was thinking about him. And I was wondering how Ivan has been doing with you guys. And she read it pretty quickly. And then I got really nervous because she didn't say anything. And then when she did finally type out a message to me, I went, oh, thank God. Because my worry was, oh, no, he got to be too much. Or, oh, no, my daughter lost interest. Or, oh, no, something else. We sold her. But no, thankfully that is not what happened. And she told me that he had a bout of EPM. They caught it early. They got it treated. And he's doing lovely. He's back to jumping. He's back to performing and riding. Her daughter still absolutely adores him. And they still intend on keeping him and showing him and riding him. And I went, oh, thank God. He is one of the few horses that I've sold that I am so, I worry about. I worry about all of them, but, there's just something about Ivan that I was like, no, I need to know how he's doing. I need to know what he's up to. I need to know that they still care about him. And I was super glad to get that message that they were looking out for him and they're still taking care of him and they still love and adore him as much as they did the day they bought him from us. And that's awesome. I am so happy for that because that horse deserved so much. His talent was getting wasted staying with me because I just wasn't getting the time in with him that he needed to be such a talented horse. And I knew that what this girl was getting into with the jumping and dressage, and that was Ivan. That was his sport. That was absolutely his sport. And as much as I wanted to, my pocketbook was not going to allow me to be able to do that with him. And so we did end up selling him, and the message this morning was just exactly what I needed to wake up to. Or wake up with. So that was really good. Everything else is going well on the farm. All the horses are doing very well, actually. Our boarding quarantine gal is putting on weight like super fast. We had some second cutting that we ended up getting into the barn. So we've been feeding that out a little bit here and a little bit there, and she loves that second cutting. Loves it. And then with me being home the next 5 days, I'm hoping, excuse me, hoping to get some more handling time in. I'll have to clean the barn, and then after this trip, I'll have enough money to pretty much restock the feed room entirely, thankfully. And then I'll be working on getting the last of the boxes out to people so I can get my dining room back in order for the holidays. And after this weekend with the vendor show, we'll see how things go, I guess, really, more than anything. But hopefully you guys have had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Not Thanksgiving, November. My brain went November to Thanksgiving, which of course, why not? But hopefully you guys have had a wonderful start to November. I know we're only like 5 days in. At least maybe you guys had a wonderful Halloween. I know the kids did. They made out like freaking bandits. Lily in her ninja costume and Liam in his Ghostbusters. They're so adorable. And see, we go to the areas of our road and neighborhoods that most other people don't go to. And because of that, they actually end up usually with more candy than anybody would going into town. Because people think you go into town, you end up with a lot of candy because there's always going to be a lot of houses really close to each other. But when we go out into the countryside and we go into this one road down a valley that not many people know that's there, unless you live there or you have family down there or you just know it's there because you just know the area, there's a lot of candy to be had down them roads because they don't want to hang on to it. And you can tell the houses that hang on to that candy year after year after year because it gets a little gross. I grabbed a pack of M&Ms at one house and you opened it and it tasted a little bit like the sweet tarts that had been hanging out in the same basket, and I went, oh, these have been M&Ms a while. And people don't want to hang on to the candy because they don't want it on their hip line either, so they end up with like bandits. They're like, take 4 or 5. Here, take a whole handful. But we get a 2-hour time span for the kids to go trick-or-treating between 6 and 8. And we got right out at 5:40, like 5:50 in the evening. I was a little early because I wanted to get them going. And we have some neighbors that really look forward to the kids stopping by because sometimes it's the only chance that they have to see trick-or-treaters for the entire year. And it kind of really feeds into their love of having that neighbor that will stop by for them. And many people comment about, oh my gosh, how big they've gotten. I went, yeah, I know. Hey, Megan again. Is there anything the rescue horses need for Christmas? I need to check our blanket supply on what we have. I do think we're good on blankets. We're definitely good on halters and lead ropes. We're running really low on salt licks. I'd like to put an individual salt lick in every stall again this winter. I used to have them in every stall, but we're missing corner feeders. And so, like, Nellie eats on the ground, Banshee eats on the ground, oh, what's her name? Maple. Maple is in one of the back stalls that has like a feeder trough, so I feed her in that. Maddie eats on the ground, and so like the ones that have stalls, I want to get corner feeders for them, and I only have a couple of corner feeders left to put in, so I've got to do that. But I'd like to get salt licks for everybody. I'd like to get a couple of salt licks for the pasture. I know they go faster during the winter because of the water from the snow and any of the rain that we get kind of like melts them away, but the horses actually will eat the ground to get that salt out of the dirt. But what I've started doing with the winter salt licks is that I've been putting a plastic bucket top underneath of the salt lick holder, and then put the salt lick on that. And so then when the salt like drains down into that bucket lid, then I can either dump it into a feed bucket or I dump it into the water, depending on how much is there. And so salt lick holders would be great. Maybe a couple of corner feeders would be helpful. I ran through probably like 10 water buckets last winter because of the way Billy was tapping them with a hammer. It cracked so many of my buckets. I have like not that many spare water buckets left over either. So like if anybody wanted to spare for a water bucket, that'd be great. Of course, donations for feed and supplements is always a bonus. Nellie is on the remission. She still gets her Cushing's medication. Any of the weight booster stuff is always helpful because just these old guys, they pretty much live on the weight booster to help keep up with their weights. We feed the Sentinel Senior. Chopped alfalfa for Nellie and a couple of the other guys. The ones that I'm feeding chopped, or what lately actually I got from a lady, and I'm getting some in trade because I'm hauling a horse for her soon. I'll talk to you in a bit. Is these really, really small Timothy cubes, and it's put out by Triple Crown, and it's like a Timothy balancer type feed cube, and I've been soaking a bunch of that, and they've been eating that really well as well. I don't know where to find it out here in Allegheny Olean area. I haven't talked to a Triple Crown. Is it Triple Crown or Tribute? I'll have to look at the feed bag again. But they're really good actually, and the water absorbs into them small cubes super, super fast. So I've been feeding them to our senior horses more than I've been feeding the chopped stuff, just to kind of like, because them chopped bags of alfalfa is so expensive. They're so expensive. But Nellie eats it so much better. But Smarty and Frank actually like them pretty well. I've been giving some to Lily, that little skinny paint mare, and so I think it's helping with those guys. But that's kind of where we're at, I think, and what we might need for the winter for the rescues. Yeah, definitely during these 5 days when we're only dragging blankets out and start assigning blankets to the horses and making sure everybody's got one. Definitely Smarty's going to need his neck cover this year. I'm going to try to avoid putting Lily and Nellie out into the cold as much as possible. Nellie is like She's got to be close to 40 at this point, you know. She's doing great, though. I mean, she trots off across the pasture and her little ornery, cranky little self and throws herself around. And she's just, I love Nellie. She's great. That day that Brett brought her down to my place and said, here, I went, dude, what am I going to do with this? And here she is. She's a permanent resident with us. So, she's great. I love her. Man, I hope to get to my favorite exit here soon, because that's where I found the cheapest diesel. Can't be that far away. What is it called? Yeah, because this is Verona and Rome. Hey, Sam. Don't forget to find Bilbo's dog blanket. You know, Bilbo has grown so much. He won't fit in a dog blanket. I think that boy is finally fitting in like a 58, 60 range now. I'm going to have to find one that fits him. I know, him and his little tushy. Him and his little cold tushy. He's going to be probably living in the indoor most of the winter. Poor Bilbo. I got to find Ellie's blankets. I got to find my own blankets. It's just... I know Ellie had great intentions of like washing them, but that was never going to happen because we just either didn't have good enough days, or with her being down from breaking her shoulder and surgery and everything like that, it's just been so much. Fingers crossed I can get Sophie bred this year. Finally get that stallion contract fulfilled. I didn't buy an expensive horse for her to just sit out and be an ornament. Don't need another pasture ornament. We have enough pasture ornaments in the pasture. Wish I had the setup for a donkey. Liam would kill me if I stole his donkey. He would kill me. Liam loves that donkey. He doesn't do much with him, but I think the idea of having Bilbo is just, you know, yeah. But Liam's not at the point where he's understanding of any of that. They will be soon. I didn't fully raise them to be farm kids. Yes, Wendy. Only in New York is the closest Tractor Supply. Yep. The supervisor there knows me by name. The co-supervisor knows me by name. The one underneath of them knows me by name. I'm in there so much. I spend so much money at that store, it's not even funny. I didn't raise the kids fully in the barn because I want them to choose their own way. Whether they want to be a farm kid or not be a farm kid. I know they're excited to go roller skating this Friday coming up. You know, because there's a local recreation group, and they open up the old high school gym to be able to go roller skating Friday nights. It's open to everybody that wants to go. And so they're super excited to be able to do that. And they like being out in the barn. They like helping. Well, at least Liam does. Lily's kind of a princess about it. And that's okay. You know, the farm life may not be hers. But I'm not going to force her into it. I think she's one of those that likes the idea. I used to be really good at roller skating, believe it or not. Been a long time, but I used to be good at it. Sam, that sucks. I'm so sorry to hear. I did read your messages. Christine, it sounds fun. Yeah, it is. Would it be okay if Santa came a little early and had gifts for the horses? Absolutely, Wendy. Absolutely. I'm never going to turn down early stuff for those rescue horses. So good to hear your voice. I needed the company today. Oh, well, hugs, Marilyn. Good. It is an Eeyore. Yes, it is an Eeyore on my dash. Hang on, I'll let these cars go by and then I'll show you my Eeyore. Hey, Tina. No, it's okay, Megan. I saw it. I just hadn't gotten to it. Yeah, hi to you too there, bucko. You know, I'm not going that fast. Oh, you're welcome. Alright. So Eeyore used to be a keychain. He used to be my truck keychain. Then Eeyore had an accident where he lost his keychain. And I went, well, Eeyore just can't not be a permanent fixture in my truck. So I have these little stickies. Velcro stickies. So that sticks to my dash, and then Eeyore sticks to that. So Eeyore lives in my truck. And then on my radio, I have a little gem. I have a little gem that came off of one of Lily's old jewelry pieces, and then that lives on my radio. Hey, Amy. Ginger, just got my notice you were live. Love Road Trip Live. I am here. I'm here. I can't fix the jostling. I'm sorry about that part, but I'm headed to New Hampshire, and I'm going to be on the road another, well, 4.5 hours tonight, and then 13 hours home. Actually, I need the phone for a second. Let's see if I can do this. Yep. Still planning on picking her up tonight. Just have to drop this one off in New Hampshire first. There. Ha! How is Dragon? Dragon is doing good. That boy is turning into a muscly tank. I mean, that boy has muscle! I'm hoping with getting the bills and stuff caught up that it will actually be able to get him into training this winter. I know I've been saying it last winter. Last winter I ran out of money. Like, it's hard to have money to be able to do that and do everything else that needs to be done. But if I can keep up the momentum that I've been having with some of the road trip stuff, which I'm going to have to do more of it by myself and not quite with Jay, because Jay and I made a conversation the other day about, you know, we need to talk about the sustainability of this working, because he says, Jay's not always going to be here. And I said, yeah, I know that. So I'm going to start playing and doing a lot of long trips by myself. Unless I can find a secondary co-pilot that doesn't mind driving 8 to 10 hour shifts at a time. And that I won't kill on the road as well. I'm going to start planning in like hotel stopovers and stuff like that, or just sleeping in the truck for like 4 or 5 hours and then keep going, because I don't like sitting in one spot for a long period of time, and I need to keep the money flowing, and I need to get my horse broke. So that needs to happen. But Dragon is doing well. We have one mare already booked in the spring for him to be breeding to. Dad's good for winter stuff, but he's not always good for the summer, because I need him in the summer to be home working on equipment and hayfields and whatever else that my mother needs him for. So Dad's good for the winter work. Jay loves doing the trips with me. Don't get me wrong on that part of it. He loves the trips. He likes being able to see things. He wants to do more like stopping off and seeing things, trying the local cuisine, that type of thing. And so, we've been doing a little bit of that. Like when we did the Minnesota trip, we stopped at a Wisconsin cheese shop and said, hey, give the horses a break. Let's go in and, take a look and see what they got. Or like this last round, we got done earlier, and we ended up in Vermont to get the tires put on my truck, because I brought them with me. And we ate at a local diner. Oh my God, the diner was so good. So good. So I'm trying to get that stuff fit in to try to kind of feed Jay's wants on these trips as well. He understands that I'm making money, and I need to make the money to dig myself out of this hole that we've been in. And he totally understands that part of it. Which is why he's helping. And I told him the other day, I said, I'm forever grateful for you helping me right now, because I really was not planning on going to Florida 3 times in the month of November. But here we are, going to Florida 3 times in the month of November. It was supposed to be an every so often type thing, not one week after week after week. Like, I've seen Jay more these last 3 weeks than I think I've seen him in the last 3 years. But I super appreciate it, and everybody that helps me on doing these trips, between either helping me find gigs or logistics or any of that stuff, driving or assisting in things or whatever may be at your part in this matter. It's appreciated, because now I'm digging myself out of this hole that has been created the last, 3.5 years of getting by and feeding all those horses and taking care of things and all that stuff. So it's working. It's working. There's a lot of competition out here on the road. So, the gigs I do get, I'm super appreciative for, because, man, I like being busy, and I've been busy. But, like, it would have been nice to have an extra horse to bring north this trip rather than just one. It would have been nice to bring an extra horse coming south than just 2. But it is as it is. You take what you can get. So I'm not going to complain. Not really. So yeah, we're at that. So everybody at the farm is still the same. Nothing has changed. Dragon, Smarty, other than I sold Mac, but Mac is still on the property. Sophie, Quartz, we haven't put Bjorn down yet. I need to talk to my sister about that. Gatto is still around. Bilbo, of course. And then the kids' horses, Frankie, Critter, Banjo, and then we have Tenet. Thankfully, a bunch of them are easy keepers. Half of the rescues are easy keepers. And then I've got like what, 5 boarding horses. Oh, somebody got the popos. Oh, you did it. Oh, you did it. Yeah, so I got like 5 boarding horses right now. 2 are probably going to be forevers. 1 definitely is a forever. The 4th, I'm not even sure. And then the other one leaves. Well, 6 because of Mac. But those 2 are going to Massachusetts at some point in time. But yeah, the last lonely rabbit, 3 chickens, the 2 dogs, and 4 cats, and the snake and the tortoise, partridge in a pear tree. Not actually, it's three partridges, chickens in the pear tree, but it's not really the pear tree, it's the barn window. So 3 chickens in the barn window. But that doesn't work. That doesn't work in the rhyme. You know, Jay and I stop at a lot of the Buc-ee's, and Buc-ee's is starting to put out their Christmas decorations. Well, they had a Scottish Highland Christmas ornament, and they had 2 different versions. One was him in a black tie suit, kind of like with the Santa stuff to it, and the other one was him wearing a red coat with the Santa hat on it. And I bought the one with the Santa hat, red coat type, with the Scottish Highland. And I showed it to Jim this morning real quick, and he was like, one of these days I'm going to have one of those. And I said, what, a Scottish Highland? And he said, yes. And I said, well, then you're taking care of it. It is a lot to take care of, Wendy. It is. Yeah. There are currently 24 horse mouths on the property. Hey, I don't know where I am. Utica area? Yes, Utica area. So 24 horse mouths, 3 chickens. No, I'm not answering you. The rabbit, 2 dogs, 4 cats, tortoise, and a snake. Bye, Jean. Thankfully, the tortoise eats mostly just lettuce and fruits. The snake eats the mice. Jim catches the mice in the grain barrels, and then he feeds them to the snake. Or if Megan comes over and brings us some mice, we feed them to her as well. Whatever happened with Shiva? So Shiva went to the Mustang lady. Paul just did all the rumbling on the highway. Nice. Shiva went to a Mustang lady in the north of Syracuse area. I took her up there that day, oh my god, months ago now. And I know I had posted her feet being better. Well, not only did her feet get better, but she got so good that the Mustang lady took her over to the Amish guy that she works with, who's very, very, very good. He's not a typical Amish guy. And he breaks the Mustangs out to ride. And so she sends them over to him. He and his kids break the horses to ride and turn them into respectable citizens under saddle. And then she adopts them out. And she keeps track of every one of them. And I don't know how she does it, because she goes through a lot of Mustangs. And I don't have any current